Well, today I got this. I think it's a double trunk. It might be more than that, but in these there should be two in there at least. And I'm trying to answer the question of how to handle the branches when you have a double trunk. Well, this is my second attempt because the first time I did it, I thought I did a pretty good job, except I forgot to turn on the mic. So this morning, I'm double checking. Yes, everything is working. So let's get started with this work here. So this is an olive. First thing is really exciting. Just get rid of the suckers. So the only thing I did was I got rid of the real obvious. This is not the finished product, of course, but I just want you to be able to see the trunk. Now let's get down to the actual pruning part. Today is the middle of May, so we got a lot of growth time left. So I'm going to cut this thing fairly severely because we're into the growth season. And so by opening it up, it'll come back with more new growth, right? I'm wanting to work on this number one tree. One of the reasons for working on the number one tree is because everything else should be proportional, not equal, proportional. So the number one sets the pace, and then number two is smaller, and then number three will be smaller yet. Okay, I better switch to something that will prune heavier. See, so now I'm flattening this out to give room for the new growth. And then go up the next one like that, right? Okay, I changed the tripod, so now the camera is higher, and I'm working on the apex. It's very important, right? The importance of the apex. And so I think you get a little bit better idea what I'm doing instead of shooting from down below. Well, you know, I'm making these videos all alone. So there's nobody behind the camera, just barely in front of the camera. So yeah, we end up with some awkward times. The other day, there was a comment that they wanted to see me get real close to the subject. Well, you see, this is my other camera. But see how small that monitor is? Well, a lot of times I can't see exactly what I see in there, and then I would miss the mark. So now I'm going to work on the number two tree. So they should all be individual trees. And then the part that makes it difficult is when they all come together. And you know, these modern cameras got autofocus, right? Which is a good thing because I don't have time to be focusing manually when I'm working on these. Well, they work most of the time, but occasionally it doesn't. And that's why I found that if I get the camera really tight, it'll lose focus, and then you get a kind of a blurry. I think if you look through some of my previous videos, there's some that is almost focused, but not quite. And that's what that was that autofocus was not functioning like I hope it would. most of the time it's okay, but when I make the really tight shots, you will lose focus. So, yeah, there was a comment, and it was a nice comment, but, you know, he says, can we get a little bit tighter? Well, most of the time I try, but that's what happens is, okay, so now we got the number 3 tree, and then I think now we're into the lesson, how do you handle these branches, right? So each tree should be individual, but as you put 2 and 3 together, you have conflicts. You could see that there was a branch over here that I had to cut off because it jammed against here. And then I think this one here is a example of something that needs to be done because it's jamming in here, right? And it's not really attractive. This is a hard decision. I'm gonna try something first. I'm gonna cut off half of it. But I think if I remove this completely right here, right? And let this one grow so that it's that way, I think it'll be better. So I'm gonna, this is the hard part. It's sometimes you have to take gutsy move, right? So, okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up. It looks a little bare, so what I want to do is take this one here and then let it grow like so. So that it kind of takes up the space, but now you can see that it is definitely a triple trunk. Up here, we got some that we want to not make it so that everything is visible, but give me enough glimpses. So, like I was saying, this a lot of times this is a very hard decision to make. And then we're going to make sure that these do not line up, right? So now it's not bad. This one could get a little bit stronger and keep it in this plane here. Okay, what I have here is another trunk in here, and I'm trying to make this into more of a branch rather than another tree, right? And I'm not sure, should I take this whole thing off and then let this one come in? So this branch could come in here and fill this space. Right now it looks a little busy, huh? And then, well, if it was on the trunk, we might keep it as a sacrifice branch, but we already have this big, massive trunk here, so maybe not so necessary. These are all the stuff that you have to kind of solve in your head. Wow, we can make cutting out of this one here. Well, one thing by removing this it did was actually show how great this stump is, right? Well, now what I want to do is take this and then bring the foliage come this way. Okay, right now I have a branch here and branch here that is more or less in the same area, right? Well, normally I take these off and then save this one. But because I want this to be taller than this other one, I'm going to take this bottom off, right? So you got to put things in context of what you're trying to achieve at the time. So this one lower, this one slightly higher, and not in the same plane. Well, see, this location of these are in the same plane, but we don't want it to look like it's in the same plane. This side thinned out to give this some room to grow healthy. And then up here, it's not too bad, but maybe it's getting too long. Remember our triangle? This is, I think, out of our triangle. So, yeah, I was working on some more sketches. Evidently, people like that. It's not a big deal for me because those are the things that we did when we were doing our landscape design, right? We had to come up with pictures to express what we're thinking. So this project, somewhat difficult, is that you got enough problem with one tree and you put 2 and 3 together, you compound it. And it looks like I could get in here and remove some of them, but I'm almost done. But I notice this is number 3 tree, and then this branch here. See how kind of jumbo it is? So let me go ahead and take care of this so that we have distinct trees, 3 distinct trees that come together logically. I think better, isn't it? Okay, so I might try this again because this is a very difficult subject. And seeing it once or twice may not be enough. But anyway, that was a good question. How do we handle the branches when you have multiple? I think removing that big one was a good idea because now you could see how massive this trunk is. And then as we go around, see the branches are not aligned. They are spaced so what you're trying to do is have individual trees that come together as one. So remember we had a problem in here. Now it's a little more distinct. This one here, we're going to try to get this branch to come down in here to kind of take up a little bit more space. It's good to be able to see, but I like to see glimpses. So I think, well, as we go on, a few more branches will be modified and or removed. But that's what bonsai is. It's a process. And hopefully this has answered the question that somebody asked about over, 3-4 months ago. Well, so anyway, I'm gonna probably try this again because I think it's a good subject. So how do we handle a triple trunk olive? Okay, hopefully you enjoyed it. See you again real soon. This is Hiro saying goodbye.